Yes. Oh, I remember last time we brought the small business store. Small business
Yeah, it's been open to the staff and everything else.
Hey, Council, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's finally open to the public, yeah. It's been open.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah.
We're back in the ring.
Yeah, right.
So good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Sullivan, Mayor of the City of Brockton. I want to welcome everybody to the City of Champions. This is a special day when Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito and Secretary Kennealy come to visit the City of Brockton. We always welcome them with open arms. It's not because they always bring great money and grants to the City of Champions, but they're just wonderful, wonderful public servants. Before I kick it off, Brockton has always been a historic place, right? The first fire station electrified in the United States here by Thomas Edison, first movie theater electrified, Thomas Edison here, first department store Santa Claus in the history of the United States here in Brockton. So we've always been a first, but also we're historic because we were a stop on the Underground Railroad. We had a Liberty tree on Frederick Douglass, which used to be High Street, which you'll be able to hoist a beer soon because it'll be the first black-owned brewery on the corner of Brockton. Brockton Beer Company will be opening next month. But the historic tree was severed and cut about 15 years ago. And as a city council president, I never knew where it went. Nobody could figure it out. But I found it recently. It was in the basement of a building that we're going to be selling. So Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison came here to preach about the evils of slavery. And I want to take a moment to give Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito a piece of the actual Liberty tree. So I do want to thank, again, Governor Charlie Baker, Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito, and Secretary Mike Kennealy for coming once again to the city of Brockton. I want to thank all the elected officials that are here today. I know Senator Brady is here, State Rep Jerry Cassidy, State Rep Michelle Dubois. I know Councilor at Large Moses Rodriguez is here, and Councilor Shirley Azak is here. I think I got everybody. I hope I got everybody. I know. But I want to just say one thing. I mean, COVID has changed all of us, but it really has hampered the city of Brockton. We're up to 543 dead here in the city of Brockton. But through the power of working in collaboration with the administration, places such as Luanda have survived. And in fact, they've flourished. Because of the people that work here. And I know the governor and lieutenant governor just met the proprietors, but this is a wonderful establishment. It's one of many that we have here in the city of Brockton. But I want to just truly thank the governor and lieutenant governor for helping us, investing in Brockton during times of COVID and prior to COVID. And I know when COVID is in the rearview mirror, we will continue to work in collaboration with the wonderful leadership of the governor and lieutenant governor. I do also just want to say that without the efforts of the Baker-Polito administration, the regional pilot project grant program would not have been able to be launched. And we launched it, and it's a directory business app for the city of Brockton. It's called Brockton MA City of Champions, and it gives businesses such as Luanda a free, and I underline and underscore free, platform to market their business and inform present and future clients about the menu and any other available deals of the day. And Luanda has taken ample opportunity to use that. It's both on Apple and Android. I also want to just thank the governor and lieutenant governor, and Under Secretary Stolber and Lieutenant Governor were here just recently to give us 4 grants totaling $766,000. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. So today, I am just so excited that Luanda is going to be receiving $75,000. That's a lot of money. So again, I want to just welcome you all here. I welcome you back here. When you're not working, to come here and eat and drink. This place is phenomenal. So I want to take a moment again to thank humbly everybody for being here. And at this time, it's my honor and privilege to welcome Larry Andrews, the CEO of mass.gov Capital Corp, MGCC. Mr. Andrews.
I feel like a school kid. I think we should be out on the outside today rather than being inside. I think, Mayor, having 60-degree weather in Brockton is perfect today. So thank you for arranging that.
Just wait a few hours.
Okay, right, all right. We'll be talking about snowstorm loans. I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm Larry Andrews, and President and CEO of Mass Growth Capital. On behalf of the Mass Growth Capital team, I'm pleased to continue to play an important role in representing the response to the pandemic by providing essential services directly to businesses. We know how important this support has been and continues to be, along with technical assistance, loan products, and specific grant programs for BIPOC and diverse entrepreneurs. MGCC continues to make every effort to reach those businesses that serve key customer bases in communities that have been most heavily impacted by COVID-19. Businesses like Luanda Restaurant and communities like Brockton. To the small business owners who may be watching this right now, your resiliency and optimism is contagious and really inspiring. We thank you, and we want to support you further. The success that we've had is because of partnerships and collaborations, including many key organizations that are represented in this room today, that has helped us spread the word to communities when funding is available and helping those businesses apply. But this all comes back to leadership shown by Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Kennealy, and the entire administration in support of small businesses and entrepreneurs who operate in our downtowns and on our main streets. Throughout this pandemic, Massachusetts Growth Capital has been proud to administer and implement programs created by this administration that has pumped more than $700 million and more importantly, to 15,000 businesses throughout the Commonwealth. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Governor Charlie Baker.
Thanks, Larry, and Mayor, thank you very much for a little piece of history here. Much appreciated. And to the folks in the legislature who are here, thank you very much for helping us put this program together in the first place, which, as Larry pointed out, has put literally hundreds of millions of dollars into 15,000, mostly owner-operated small businesses here in the Commonwealth. And in many cases, those that were hardest hit by the pandemic, and often in the communities that were hardest hit as well. All in, about half of the businesses that received support through this original program that we put together with the legislature were owner-operated by women, and about 40% of them were owner-operated by people of color. And we really appreciate the legislature's willingness to continue to provide funding for this program as part of the initiative that we all put together with respect to following up on our ARPA money. I want to thank the mayor for hosting us here, and obviously I want to thank Amelia Gonsalves and her son for having us here today. In some respects, I kind of wish we were doing this at 6 o'clock at night so that the aroma would be wafting and the place would be hopping and we could take some stuff with us on the way out the door. But I think in some ways, this restaurant is a great example of the kind of organization that this program's all about. Amelia was born off the coast of West Africa, learned to cook the traditional Cape Verdean and Angola dishes on the menu that are here, and was able to start and sustain through a pandemic this family-owned and operated business. Amelia, I think you came to the U.S. sometime in the mid-1990s. Is that about right? 1996, with her husband and her children, and it was in the early 2000s that the family built out this space. Obviously, COVID was a punch in the gut for so many people, including folks here in the restaurant business. And Mayor, these folks received one of the grants through the original program that we set up. They will certainly be able to bid on the next round, okay? But there is a process, and
Caught me on that one.
which is look, hey, you're the local guy, why not? But I think in many respects this program has proven to be a lifesaver and a game changer for so many businesses here in the Commonwealth. And I do want to give Larry and the team at MGCC a big pat on the back for the work they did. This program was appropriated by the legislature in late 2020 when we were in the midst of what was at that point in time the January surge associated with COVID before the vaccination program started. And they needed to move enormously quickly to put the resources out the door in time for people to be able to benefit from this at a point in time when it was most critical for them to do so. And Larry, I think you had pretty much everything out the door by the end of March. Is that about right? Think about that. 15,000 businesses, $700 million out the door in the course of 90 to 100 days at a point in time when it was critically important for organizations and businesses like this one to benefit from a program like this. Now, for those businesses that are interested in pursuing this program, as we move forward here based on this latest round, starting at noon today, businesses will be able to apply for grants of up to $75,000, and the application and terms are available at www.empoweringsmallbusiness.org, www.empoweringsmallbusiness.org. And I really do hope everybody who has a business that looks and feels like this one has a chance to apply. Now, the funding is split into two buckets, as outlined in the legislative package. There's $50 million available to small businesses that were impacted by COVID-19, especially those businesses that reach markets that are predominantly made up of socially and economically disadvantaged and historically underrepresented groups, and those owned by minorities, women, veterans, individuals with disabilities, or those who identify as part of the LGBTQ community. The other $25 million is restricted to those businesses that have not previously received funding through any of these relief programs that have been run by MGCC. The Lieutenant Governor will get more into the details about how these grants work and how people can apply for them, but I'm confident that the network of organizations across the state that have helped us before with outreach and support work will be doing their thing to make sure that folks get their applications in and get them in on time. Those partners, in many respects, were essential to the success of this program previously, and we're grateful for their participation, their collaboration, and their efforts. I know that Nicole Obie, who's the new president and CEO of the Black Economic Council here in Massachusetts, who is here with us today and will be speaking in a minute, was one of those folks, and that organization in particular made an enormous difference in outreach, support, and follow-through as we were putting this program in place literally just about a year ago. There are many other organizations, the Coalition for an Equitable Economy, along with MGCC, Amplify, Latinx, LASC, and the Mass Community Development Corporations, and Joe is here from that organization. You guys were incredibly helpful in making sure that the right people knew about this program and had the ability and the support to make sure they bid on it. And I do want to say once again, thanks to the legislature and the legislators who are here today for your work on this. This program was a game changer and a lifesaver for many downtowns, many businesses, and many families, and frankly, a lot of the customers who benefit from these programs as well over the course of the past year. And we're thrilled to be able to be back at it again, basically a year down the road from when we did it before. And with that, I will turn it over to the Lieutenant Governor. And I'm keeping my tree.
I'm so glad there's two of these, so we don't have to fight over it. It's always
You know who would have won that.
it's always a pleasure and a lot of fun coming to the City of Champions. And it's great to be here with you, Mr. Mayor, the delegation, members of your council. This is the City of Champions, and you clearly are the biggest champions for your community. But when you believe in your community, so many others do too. And I come here always feeling your enthusiasm and your pride and your excitement about the good things that are happening here that you're working so hard on every single day. Just congratulations on pushing the ball forward, getting through COVID, and coming out the other end stronger and better for all of your work together. I also want to give a big shout out to Larry and your crew. Really amazing work throughout the pandemic. You know, as we were addressing the response to COVID, having a team over at MGCC capable of pulling together a program that had never been done before with $700 million infused into it, and setting it up and deploying those dollars to reach business owners all across our Commonwealth was an amazing accomplishment, but one that definitely made sure that businesses stayed open, stayed connected to their workforce, and stayed part of their Main Street downtown community areas that are so critically important. And I just want to say thank you, Larry, and to the whole team. So clearly, the legislature took note of that. knowing a program that worked and putting a few more dollars into it allows us to have this opportunity today to do more. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for your hard work in making that happen. This is very special to be here. This is a dream come true. You know, it really is a labor of love for a mother and now her son in a business, sharing something you learned as a young girl, how to put these beautiful meals and flavors together and to share them with this community and beyond is very special. And it would be very sad and disruptive, not only to your family, but to this community, if the pandemic disrupted your ability to do your business, something that you love and something that's so important to you. So clearly the $75,000 grant was helpful to make those ends meet. And I certainly know that you'll be putting together a bid for and be competitive for the additional funds that we're announcing today. At noon, the applications will be live on the empoweringsmallbusiness.org website. Because of the legislature's ability to put the funds into this program, they also outlined certain ways they want these funds to work, and they divided it into two pots, as the governor stated. $50 million will be available to small businesses negatively impacted by COVID-19, targeting minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, LGBT-owned businesses, as well as those businesses owned by persons with disabilities. The MGCC will also be giving preference to businesses that have not received state, federal, or local relief aid. And that's a really important message for those who will be hopefully listening to this and getting the news wherever they do, that they should obviously look at the application and plug into it, because these funds can certainly help you. The remaining $25 million is available to support other businesses that have not previously received the financial relief. And this would also be looking to support businesses established after June 2019, with the goal of serving that segment of new businesses in our Commonwealth that were not previously eligible for the prior grants. That's really important. Businesses established after 2019 are eligible to receive these funds. So obviously go to the website and take a look at the application. So what can you use these funds for? Payroll and benefit costs, costs to retain employees, mortgage and rent for the brick and mortar business, physical business, the utilities, operating costs as a result of COVID-19 and measures to prevent virus spread, and upgrades to enhance outdoor spaces such as restaurant patios and the wonderful places that popped up over the course of the pandemic, when we were hoping people would still go out and visit their restaurants and do so in a place outdoors where it may have been safer for them to do. And some of those spaces people love so much that they are continuing to be permanent features in our downtowns and our main streets, and clearly at businesses like Luanda. So the message is more money available. Please take a look at the website, see if you are eligible, because you most likely are, and plug in and help your business continue to grow and thrive here in our Commonwealth. And the final message I would say is thank you for everyone doing your part, not only relative to COVID, but helping to support the businesses in your community. So it's on us to get out and shop local, dine local. You might find a restaurant week popping up somewhere in your community or in a region of the Commonwealth. Make a plan to go out with friends and family and really support the small businesses that make up the fabric of our Commonwealth. So thank you all for making this possible today. I'd like to now turn it over to Secretary Kennealy.
All right. Well, thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. Great to be with you all here today. Great to see our colleagues in the legislature. Mayor, great as always to be here in Brockton. This is, I think, my fourth trip in the last 12 months or so.
Yes.
The LG and I made this one of our stops on our 24 downtown small business tour over the summer and fall weeks. I've had a great time walking the downtown with you and Rob and seeing all the great investments in housing and community development. Chris hosted a great roundtable for us at the Chamber on a recent trip, so always great to be back in Brockton. I do also want to acknowledge the folks from the Coalition for an Equitable Economy here with us today. Nicole Obey from BECMA who we'll hear from shortly, Karen Kelleher from LISC, and Joe Kreisberg from MACDC, who have been incredibly important partners in this work. And I want to acknowledge some folks on my team as well, Undersecretary Mark Fuller, our Director of Small Business Policy, Sam Asker, Ryan Bohm, our Communications Director. They, with Larry, have done an incredible job launching and delivering our programs for small businesses. Yep. And of course, a huge thanks to Larry and team from Mass Growth Capital, who have been unbelievable partners for our smallest businesses during the most challenging of times. And great to see Larry, and looking forward to seeing how this program rolls out. And of course, big thanks to our host today as well. We have, since the start of the pandemic, tried to be the best partner we can be for our small companies during an enormously challenging period of time. And we've had a lot of different tools in the toolbox. The $700 million small business grant program being the most significant of those tools. The largest state-sponsored small business grant program in the country, which reached 15,000 businesses. We have promoted our small businesses, our main streets, through our My Local campaign, our Let's Go Out campaign, to get people to go back out and dine and shop in our downtowns. We made investments in our downtowns through our Shared Streets and Spaces program to have more outdoor space for dining and commerce. We've funded small business technical assistance resources at record levels. We've helped our businesses reach literally billions of dollars in funds through the Federal Small Business Administration. We've done a lot, and we've done this because this work is so important. These small Main Street businesses make up the fabric of our communities, the lifeblood of our cities and towns, and that's why we're so dedicated to this work. And I would encourage folks to, as the governor mentioned, to go to empoweringsmallbusiness.org. That'll have the information about this grant program. But there's also two other programs I want to call people's attention to. One is called Biz Empower, which is up and running now at Mass Growth Capital, effectively a small business matching grant program. It's a terrific program. And the second is Empower Digital. And the background in this one is we saw during the pandemic, people were doing more and more online. And we saw a need or an opportunity to help our Main Street businesses do more of their business online. And so Empower Digital has the tools to help our companies transact more online. So encourage folks to take a look at that. Excited to launch the program today. Excited as always to work with Larry and team to be the best partner we can be for our small businesses. With that, I think I'll turn it over to our colleagues from the legislature, Senator Brady, Rep. Dubois, and Rep. Cassidy.
Thank you, Secretary, and I'm honored to be a part of the team here. And we're standing in Ward 5, and we appreciate the enthusiasm as we hear outside. They don't call this a fighting fifth for nothing. My family came from the east side of Brockton.
Tell them the state of emergency's been over for over
Yeah.
a year.
But my family came from the east side of Brockton. Before I was born, and they were raised in a Lebanese neighborhood, and just a couple blocks from here. And Brockton has always been the melting pot. And to the owners of Luanda, we are so grateful that you made an investment in Brockton and came to Brockton. You mentioned 1996. I didn't have any gray hairs then. When I first ran for school committee, I was a lot thinner. But we work as a team with our governor's office, our state delegation, and the city council. Nobody does it alone. And we've seen so many businesses suffer through this pandemic. And thank God we work together to get some of the grants and funding for some of the downtown businesses. And if we can help businesses like Luanda and many others that are family-owned businesses, small businesses, which are the heart and soul of our community, we have to support them. So I'm just grateful to you, Secretary, to the governor, and the whole state delegation and the local city officials here. We work together as Brockton. We're all part of the same team, and that's why we're called the City of Champions. God bless you.
On behalf of the House, I want to thank Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito for this and for so many other investments in Brockton. It is extremely needed, and I encourage everyone to come down to Luanda's on Center Street and have some delicious cachupa. It's a vegetarian as I am. They do that as well. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to encourage small businesses to really apply for this money. It's accessible. We see right here a perfect example of that. And if you need any help, please reach out to our Metro South Chamber of Commerce. They actually have someone to help people. And thank you very much. Thank you again.
Thank you, Senator and Rep. Next, we're going to hear from Nicole Obey, who is the president of BECMA. And it's been said before how important our partners are in this work. And you simply can't get $700 million out the door to 15,000 small companies in 3 short months without a lot of help from partners. And Joe and Karyn have been great partners in that regard. Beckman's been an essential partner in this work. And with that, let's bring up Nicole.
Thank you, Secretary Kennealy. Thank you, Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you to all the elected officials, Mayor. As you said, I'm Nicole Obie. I'm the new president and CEO of the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts. I'd also like to acknowledge the other members of the Coalition for an Equitable Economy mentioned here today. We have LISC, we have the mass.gov. And the coalition was actually formed 2 years ago, almost to the day, in reaction to the shutdown caused by the COVID pandemic. And the coalition got to work to rapidly share information as well as to deploy resources to the vulnerable communities that were affected by the shutdown. To date, we've helped thousands of Black and Latino and other businesses get access to technical assistance, as well as advocated for grants such as these two that are being offered today. And we've also been successful, and I'm happy and proud to represent CEE on the new, I have to read this, Federal Funds Equity and Accountability Review Panel, which is a panel which is responsible for overseeing over $2.5 billion in ARPA spend. And so the coalition's been a great organization in bringing together multiple groups to really serve the Commonwealth. We're grateful for these funds. Once again, we will be helping Larry and the entire MGCC team to help our businesses apply and get access to these grants. But there's still an urgent need for much more funding because so many of our businesses are still struggling from the effects of the shutdown and the slowdown. And so we're looking forward to continuing our work to advance the cause of providing more support to businesses like Lawanda and others. If you need help in getting and applying for these grants, definitely go to the MGCC site, but also go to the Massachusetts, it's the equitableeconomy.org website, and BECMA and all the other coalition members will be happy to support you in applying for these grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you for all you do in partnership with us. And then finally, our hosts today, Amelia and Jason, thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you, the state of Massachusetts. Thank you, Governor Baker, for being here today. The grant that we received, it was helpful. It helped us pay a lot of bills, and it keep us in business. So we just wanted to thank you. I'm kind of nervous. I don't like microphone, and I'm going to pass the word to Jason, and he's going to say something. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who's present today. Thank you very much for choosing Lawanda to host this press conference. Special thank you to Governor Baker, to the Lieutenant Governor, to all the folks from the state and the city. Just to reiterate what my mother said, we are very thankful for having received the grant. It was very helpful during a very tumultuous time. The effects of the pandemic are still being felt, especially for a lot of small businesses like ours. We know a lot of folks who had restaurants that unfortunately didn't arrive in time and their doors remain closed until today. And then some of the wider ranging effects with the supply chain, with inflation, with the price of ingredients, with the lack of income for many people, we still feel it to this moment in the business. So we're very, very thankful for that. I especially wanted to give a thank you to the state for allowing the outdoor dining. It's something that we wanted to have for years, and we're very, very appreciative of that. And as a result, we ended up building a nice outdoor dining space, which has also been a tremendous help during the warmer times. And that's all. We're just very appreciative. Thank you. Support your small businesses. Come by and eat, and we'll be happy to receive all of you. Thank you.
I just want to add a footnote to Amelia and Jason's comments. Lieutenant Governor and I were talking to them a bit before the show got started, and we learned during that conversation that Jason went to UMass and studied civil engineering, and that's what he was doing for work after he got out of college. And as the business started to grow and expand, he decided to come home and help his mom. And that is about as perfect a story about a family-run business as you're going to find here in the Commonwealth. And I'm very glad we were able to provide support before, but what I really want to do is get up on that wall. So you can count on my wife and me coming down and bringing some friends, and we'll probably order more than we can eat, but I'm hoping you'll let us take the leftovers home.
Deliver to the State House.
Do you really deliver to the State House?
Really deliver to the State House.
Awesome, I'm all over that. Are there any on-topic questions for these folks?
I'm curious how quickly you hope to get the money out in this next round.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Larry speak to that one.
Sure.
Tomorrow.
We got the checkbook in the car. It really depends on how many applications we have. We believe it will be oversubscribed. We're going to try to do this as quickly as possible. The application will be open for 5 weeks. We'll need another 2 weeks to process, and so by the end of April, early May, the money will be going out to businesses.
Thanks again, everybody, and Mayor, thank you for hosting us today, and
As
it's great to
always,
see you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And thank you for this.
Absolutely.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Stuff? Okay. I didn't ask about off-topic, which is my fault, sorry. Any off-topic stuff?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the EEC commissioner announced her resignation. We also learned that she is under investigation by the state inspector general's office. Thoughts, concerns about what they're looking into, and comments on her resignation?
Well, first of all, Commissioner Sam did a great job working through a very difficult period of time, especially for the early care and education community here in the Commonwealth throughout the course of the pandemic. I don't know that much about the Inspector General, but the bottom line is, when they ask for stuff, we give it to them. But it has nothing, one has nothing to do with the other.
It sounded like there was some issue with how a contract was awarded.
Yeah.
Do you think that could be a result of just pandemic necessities, or you just don't know at this point?
I don't know. And bottom line is, generally speaking, whether it's the auditor and the Inspector General or somebody else, we usually let them speak for their investigations, and what we do is cooperate.
On Friday, in your supplemental budget, you announced a series of reforms and budget changes you'd like to make in terms of DCF, kids that are in the system,
Yep.
and appointing a guardian ad litem to every child that
Yep.
goes before the court. Why do you think that's necessary?
Well, we've always had a process and a program in place where if the courts felt it was appropriate, they would appoint a guardian ad litem to represent the interests of a child, not just in the DCF cases, but in all kid cases, including ones taking place in the probate and family court as well. I think our view was we should literally make this service and this representation available to every kid who's part of the who's going to court, who's part of the DCF system. And we filed the resources to pay for it, and we tied the rate those folks get paid to the same rate that the CPCS lawyers get paid. But I really hope the legislature adopts this. I think we believe that this could be one more appropriate and important way to make sure that the interests of a child are best represented when they're in court. In many respects, there's a lot of adults back and forth. Sometimes the kids are represented by a guardian ad litem, sometimes they aren't. I think our view is we really need to make sure kids are always represented.
And to that end, do you think right now the agency is doing a good enough job trying to locate children who are missing, and in some cases off the radar?
Generally speaking, there are a lot of rules and policies in place with respect to kids who mostly run. I mean, we're really talking more about older kids than we are about younger kids. And there's a lot of work that gets done with law enforcement and with agencies in other states. And there's, thankfully in this day and age, there's far more interstate communication around this stuff than there used to be. But obviously, it's one of the biggest and most challenging aspects of the department's operation.
Thanks, everybody. But do you think they're doing enough? I mean, do you think that throughout your tenure here that you've seen improvements and that these kids are not just forgotten because they're older?
I don't think they're forgotten. I mean, in many respects, we probably have more kids who age out of DCF who are currently continuing to be served by the agency than at any point in time in the agency's history. And there's a lot that the agency's done to improve its performance. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing that's happened over the course of the past 7 years, and this was again with some help from the legislature, there was no medical or psychological support for social workers when we took office. And we built out an entire infrastructure for really complicated and difficult cases that involve trauma and mental health issues to support social workers and families as they deal with those circumstances and those issues. The caseloads, which has always been an issue historically at DCF, are as low as they've ever been, which makes it much easier for social workers to stay on the families that they're in charge with. Now, they also got very creative during the pandemic with respect to how they use virtual tools where they could and how they use the outside opportunities where they could to make sure that they were face-to-face with a lot of the kids and the families that they deal with. But somebody said one time, and I thought it was the perfect sort of observation about working with kids and families. They said there is no such thing as reform and then you stop. You are always going to have to get better. You are always going to have to improve. You are always going to have to adapt and change with the times and the circumstances associated with the kids and the families you're dealing with. And that will always, and from my point of view, do I think DCF has made progress? Absolutely. Do I think there is continued work to be done? Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. What-